4 men in the village died in just 1 month. All of them were healthy, but they were buried under the same big tree. The village elders were confused. The neighbors were scared. Only one man knew exactly why they were dead. His name was Ikenna. And inside his house, hidden under the floor, sat a black, cracked pot. It wasn't just a pot. It was a trap. Every time Ikenna asked the pot for money, bundles of cash would appear. But there was a catch. Every time he got rich, someone in the village had to die. He kept the secret from his wife. He kept it from his children. But the ghosts of the dead men were starting to follow him home. This is the story of a bargain that should have stayed buried, and the price that someone always has to pay. If you love a good twist, hit subscribe and stay with me. You won't believe how this deal ends. Now let's go back to the day Ikenna first hit the dirt with his shovel. Ikenna worked hard every day. He was not lazy. He was on his farm before sunrise and back home late at night. But his farm was old and tired. It gave him nothing back. His wife Neka tried her best too. She could turn one small cup of gari into dinner for the whole family. But it was never enough. His son Obinna was only 7. One evening he asked, "Papa, when are we eating meat again?" Ikenna had no answer. What could he say? A man who cannot feed his own son has nothing left to say. That night, he made a decision. He would clear the wild bush behind his farm, a land he had never touched. He had nowhere else left to try. The next day, Ikenna took his cutlass into the bush. He cut through tall grass for hours. His arm burned. Then his blade hit something hard. Not a root, not a stone. He dug with his hands and pulled out a black pot. It was smooth, clean. No dust on it at all, like someone had placed it there that same morning. Strange marks circled its neck. Something inside him said, "Leave it." But he picked it up anyway. He had a hungry son at home, and he was going to sell the pot. Then the cold came. Not evening cold. A strange sudden cold like ice in his bones. And a voice spoke from inside his own chest, "Keep me. Ask and I will give. But nothing is free." Ikenna dropped the pot. It rolled once and stopped. The cold disappeared with it. He stood there shaking. Then he picked it back up and carried it home. That night, Ikenna locked his door. He sat the pot in front of him. "I need money," he whispered. "My family is hungry. Give me wealth." The pot began to shake. Money poured out, bundle after bundle of naira, until it reached his knees. He laughed. Then he cried. He could not tell which came first. He hid the pot under his bedroom floor. In the morning, he lied to his wife. He said a stranger had bought his land. It was his first lie to her in 11 years, and it would not be his last. Within weeks, his mud house became a block house. A car sat outside. His son ate meat several times that week. Ikenna don't blow. People said with wonder. He let them believe it was God. It was easier than telling the truth. 3 days later, Papa Eze, the old wine tapper, was found dead. There was no wound and no sickness. Just his face, twisted in fear. The village mourned him for a week, and then life moved on. Ikenna did not connect it. Why would he? Old men die, which was very normal. But that same week, he woke up in the middle of the night. He felt it before he saw it. He was not alone in his room. At the foot of his bed stood a ghost. It was Papa Izzy's ghost. still as a photograph, not one part of him moving, not even to breathe. His face was gone, just empty space where a face should be. Ikenna could not move and he could not breathe. He watched until the rooster crowed outside. Then the ghost was gone. He told his wife it was a bad dream. He almost believed it himself. 2 months later, the money ran low again. Ikenna asked the pot again. It gave just like before. 2 nights later, a trader named Amado was found dead on the road. Same frozen fear on his face. That night, Ikenna's lamp went out on its own. In the dark, he heard breathing. Slow. Wet. Close. Not his wife's, and not his own. When he lit a match, nothing was there. Just the smell of wet earth. Grave earth. By the 4th death, a young mother with 3 children, Ikenna stopped pretending. For every wish, there was a death. They matched every time. He stopped sleeping. He stopped sleeping properly. He started flinching at every mention of death in the market, waiting to hear a name he knew. He went to see Dibia Okonchi, the old herbalist. He had no one else to tell. "A pot gives me money," Ikenna said. "And now, ghosts appear in my room at night." The old man went quiet. Then he spoke. "He didn't find that pot. It found you. Your grandfather made a deal with it. Years ago, in a season of hunger like yours, he fed it blood so his family could eat. When he died, it went back into the ground. It waited for someone of his blood to dig it up again." Ikenna's legs went weak. He had not found treasure. He had found a death. "I see them," he said. "Ghosts. All of them." "Of course you do," the old man said. "A life taken before its time does not rest easy. Every soul that pot has fed on is bound to it. They will keep gathering the more you feed it." "How do I stop it?" "Destroys it. But the price will be heavy, and the dead may not live quietly, even then." Ikenna walked home, feeling like his own shadow had grown too crowded for one man. For 3 weeks, Ikenna refused to touch the pot. Even when the money ran low, and when his wife's questions grew sharp. But the ghosts did not stop coming. They increased. 3 one night, 4 the next night, and then 5. Standing shoulder to shoulder against his wall. Silent, waiting. He started sleeping with a lamp, burning all night. Some mornings, the lamp had gone out and was relit by hands that were not his. He watched his son sleep some nights, terrified that the debt might reach for someone else in his house instead of him. Around this time, his old friend Chidi started asking questions. They had grown up together since they were boys. Chidi had watched Ikenna's rise from mud house to block house, and something in him had turned sour with envy. "Tell me your secrets, my brother," Chidi said one night. Gin bottle between them. "We suffered together. Now look at you." Ikenna's guard came down that night. "There's a pot," he admitted. "It gives money. It takes lives. And it doesn't let the dead rest, Chidi. I see them every night." He expected fear. Instead, he saw hunger on his friend's face. "Where is it?" "Oh," Ikenna said, suddenly sober. "Forget I said anything." Chidi smiled and said nothing more. But Ikenna could not sleep that night. And for once, it wasn't only the ghost that kept him awake, but his friend's curiosity. Chidi never asked again. But a man who wants something badly does not need to ask twice. His chance came when Ikenna's family left for 2 days. for a cousin's burial. The house was empty. Chidi climbed in through the back window at night. He searched everywhere: baskets, walls, mats, growing more desperate with every empty corner. More than once, he froze, sure something stood behind him, watching him ransack a house that was not his. Each time he turned around, there was nothing. Just before morning, he found it. A loose floorboard in the bedroom. He pried it up with a kitchen knife. The pot sat wrapped in an old cloth, exactly where a guilty man hides his secret. The moment he lifted it, the room turned ice cold. For 1 second, the room was full of ghosts turning slowly toward him. Chidi did not stay to look. He ran, the pot pressed to his chest. What Chidi did not know was this: the pot still belonged to Ikenna's blood alone. In a stranger's hands, it did not reach into the village for its price. It reached for whoever was closest. That night, Chidi knelt before the stolen pot. "Give me wealth," he said, hands shaking with greed. Money poured out, just like before. In the next room, his 6-year-old son made one small sound in his sleep. Then silence. Chidi found him at dawn. And in that same doorway, he saw his son standing there too. Small, still, eyes empty. Chidi screamed until his voice broke. His son's ghost in the doorway did not move. It only stood there. Finally seen. Ikenna arrived at dawn. He found Chidi collapsed over his son's body, the pot lying in the dirt outside. "You knew," Chidi said, not lifting his head. "You knew this could happen, and you let me take it. I never told you where it was. I begged you to leave it alone." Ikenna said. "You should have destroyed it the day you found it," Chidi said. "Instead, your house ate well while the rest of us starved, and none of us knew what was paying for your meat." A crowd gathered at the gate, drawn by the screaming. They could not see what stood at the edges of that compound, but they felt it. A strange cold in a warm morning. Someone said the word ritual. Another person said witchcraft. Fear spread through the crowd, like fire through dry grass. Something in Ikenna broke. Standing there, with the crowd closing in, and a dead child in his father's arms, lies could carry him no further. So he told them everything. He told them about how he found the pot, heard the voice, and his grandfather's bargain. He also told them about every death that paid for his family's comfort. The crowd's anger turned into grief, because standing among them were the families of Papa Eze, of Madu, and of the young mother, finally hearing why their people died with that same frozen fear on their faces. Ikenna fell to his knees. "I cannot undo this," he said, his voice breaking. "But I can end it tonight, whatever it costs me." Dibia Okonji arrived as the sun rose higher. To break it, you must give back everything it ever gave you. All of it. And know this: when a bargain this old breaks, the dead do not always leave quietly. He said to Ikenna. Ikenna brought out his house papers, his car keys, every hidden note. He laid it all in the dirt in front of the whole village. He knelt before the pot one last time. "Take it back," he said. "I release every claim my blood ever made on you. Let it end with me." The pot shook harder than ever. It cracked once down its side with a sound like a scream from far away. Wind rose from nowhere, throwing dust across the square. Only 2 men in that crowd saw what came next: Ikenna and Chidi. Every ghost that had ever stood in Ikenna's room, and every face the village had buried stood together around the pot for 1 second, mouth open, finally allowed to make a sound. Then they were gone, not fading. Gone. Like a breath finally let go. The wind died, and when the dust settled, the square was empty. The pot was gone. It wasn't broken apart and not carried off by anyone. It was simply gone, the same way the ghost had gone, as if it had never needed a pair of hands to take it anywhere at all. Nobody in Amaze ever found out where it went. Nobody looked too hard for it either. The dying had stopped, and for most of them, that was reason enough to stop asking questions they were afraid to hear the answer to. Ikenna collapsed and lay in a fever for 3 days. His wife sat beside him the whole time, afraid she was losing him. On the 4th day, he woke up, alive, but with nothing left. No house, no car, no money. Only his wife's hand in his, and his son's face finally looking at him with relief instead of hunger. Ikenna went back to farming his same tired land, as poor as the day he first swung his cutlass into that bush. But the dying stopped. So did the visits in the night. Chidi never recovered. He left Amaze before the month ended. Those who kept in touch said he never slept with the lamp off again. Months later, in a village 2 rivers away, a young farmer clearing a new land struck something smooth and dark in the dirt with his hoe. He had no way of knowing it had ever belonged to anyone. No way of knowing it had traveled further to reach him than any ordinary pot has a right to travel on its own. He knelt down to look closer and wiped the dirt off with his bare hands. He didn't know it yet, but the pot had already found its next home, inside him. And just like Ikenna, before him, it was only a matter of time before it started asking for a price. If this story got under your skin, hit that like button and subscribe, because Amaze still has stories to tell. Tell me in the comments, would you have kept that pot or left it buried? And don't scroll away just yet. I've got another one waiting for you right there on your screen. Go ahead and watch it next.